Hey guys, what's up? This is Pantheon, a challenger player in North America. And recently, this patch, I think Feral Flare is really bad now, which means that I don't think Feral Flare junglers are viable anymore, just because they don't really do anything early game, and they only come out strong once they have their Feral Flare, which is mid game and late game. And in higher gear low, early game means a lot, just because we know how to stay ahead. So I don't think Feral Flare junglers are that good, and my opinions on some champions have been changed. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So at number 5, we do have Jarvan. So in the past, Jarvan actually got a nerf to his EQ combo. The width was actually reduced and now it's harder to hit the combo. Like before, if you just landed in the general area of the EQ combo, you would always hit them with a knockup even though your Q didn't do damage. But now most laners can now actually sidestep the combo. And that was Jarvan's strength, which was he always got the knockup. But now if the laner is actually mechanically good, he can sidestep the combo. And Jarvan won't actually have that much of an impact on the gank. That being said, he recently got a buff, and these are little minor quality buffs, but I think these buffs are good enough to bring him back. So his early game ganks are enough to blow an enemy's flash. Basically, if that EQ combo does land, someone's gonna blow Summoner or someone's gonna die. And of course, once he gets his ultimate, that's like a second gap closer. And then he gains really good burst damage. After that, he does transition well to mid game, as he does become fairly tanky, and of course he does have a really good initiation. And when people are in that pit, people are gonna stay in that pit or blow a flash and get the hell out. And then when late game comes, he actually has % armor penetration, and giving your team a last whisper against people who are hit by his Q. And I do think that his health shield is really strong, as it does give somewhere around 210 health to 510. Alright, so number 4 we do have Pantheon. Alright, so I know in my last previous tier list, I rated him at number 2, but he actually got a ninja nerf this patch. The ninja nerf was actually applied to his ultimate. Basically, they increased the duration from when he jumps to landing by like a second, and like it just feels so delayed, and it's really tedious and annoying to deal with. And yeah, I actually haven't been playing him a lot this patch just because of that ninja nerf. That's how much it annoys me, so I actually bumped him down. In the tier list just because of that. And I mean, really, one more second could be crucial to the gank or the initiation, as the enemy has more time and reaction to escape the Grand Skyfall. But other than that, I mean, he's still really good at dueling, he's still really good at ganking, he's still really dominant early game, and becomes a pretty good mid-game, late-game tank. And of course he can still initiate, still has its global, and other than that ultimate nerf, he's still pretty good in my books. Alright, so at number 3 we do have Elise. Alright, so I know what you guys are going to say. Why is she top 5 when she wasn't even in the top 10 in your last tier list? Alright, so basically what I read from the patch notes was a damage nerf and a lower duration on the stun. But then I saw his new skill order plus item build, where it basically prioritizes on cooldown reduction and more of a utility Elise. And after maxing out Q, you max out E. And I've seen a lot of strengths with it. You'll obviously get the longer stun, you're more potent at kiting and disengaging, and you're just generally more utility. Alright, so let's go over her early game. So early game, she's actually a really strong duelist, and she creates a lot of pressure everywhere, since she does bring a lot of damage, brings a lot of gap closers, she brings a stun. I mean, yeah, you're almost gonna die if she lands her full combo on you. And one of her biggest pros is that she has the potential to dive somebody, just because she can repel up in the air and change aggro from the tower. Again, I want to emphasize that she's really high pressure early game. But again, when it comes to mid game, she kind of falls a bit, as her damage did get nerfed with her Q, and her initiation is more of a pick ability with her cocoon, so it's not that big of an initiation. But when it comes to sieging, she's actually really good, as she is a ranged champion who can attack the tower, and she actually has a pretty good poke with her cocoon, as that allows your team to focus the poke onto that target. And then of course she's actually really good at disengaging. And then of course once late game comes around, she has a longer duration on her stun, and I think her spiderlings have more hit point, though that doesn't really matter. And of course the % damage is pretty strong late game too. The only flaws I can think of Elise are that you need to have mechanics, you need to know how to play team fights right, and I think the greatest one of all is that you really need good decision making, and know your limits of what you can't do and what you can do with Elise. And at number 2 we do have Kha'Zix. So recently Kha'Zix has gone through a few nerfs, and his isolation range actually got smaller, which just means there will be a few situations where he won't get that isolation damage. And secondly, his ult got nerfed a bit, where the recast time is increased to 2 seconds instead of 1. I mean, I actually see it as a kind of slightly big nerf, just because before there was like this small opportunity to actually attack Kha'Zix, which is what made him really strong. But now after that, there's actually a bigger window to attack him, and so that you can actually damage him. And what this means for ganks is that it might take a little bit longer to re-proc the slow onto the enemy. Other than that, he does still have his strengths from the last patch. He's still a pretty good duelist. He's got really good high base damage. He's really good at hunting down enemies and just chasing them down. He still has his really strong mid game, where he will take down the squishies, and of course just be rather annoying in teamfights. And yeah, he's still got that 3 stacks with the 50% damage reduction. So yeah, I think he's still good. but I had to bump him up from the first place spot because again my opinions did change, and in my opinion the number 1 deserved spot is Wukong. Well, I don't know, it could be me, but I'm extremely biased to Wukong for my opinion of him in playing in solo queue. I mean, whenever I want to win a game, I'll just pick this champion, and most times I'll probably win the game. And let's go over why. So first off, early game, he's sort of vulnerable to duelists and can be outclassed in that situation. And his ganks are really mediocre as he doesn't really bring any CC. Of course, he does bring a pretty good amount of damage, so basically his early game is weak. But once he's level 6, he has a lot of windows open to him. First off, when you use the ultimate in a gank, it's really strong, as he does unload a lot of damage on you, and of course the CC is pretty strong too. And second off, this actually opens him up to being a really strong duelist, as he has a really good all-in potential, and can easily pick up kills around the map. And a fed Wukong is a scary Wukong, because he, later in the game, can probably carry teamfights. And as we transition to mid-game, this is probably his strongest point along with his late game. So again, mid-game with Wukong, his strongest point is teamfighting. You see, Wukong will just win teamfights just because his ultimate does so much damage, brings CC, is also an initiation. And remember how I was talking about that all-in potential? If Wukong can get his full combo onto AD carry, and he's also building damage, the teamfight is basically done since Wukong will probably kill the enemy carry along with another diver. And of course, anyone who wants to peel for their squishy will still be hit by his ultimate and get knocked up, plus taking damage. And then after his ultimate is done, he becomes a high damage bruiser. And yeah, you'll probably win every teamfight with Wukong. And of course, once late game comes, like he does damage, he's pretty tanky, he'll probably still win teamfights, and he's still pretty strong. And yeah, even if you do bad, you're still pretty useful in teamfights. You still got the CC, you still got the damage, and basically a summary of Wukong is he'll basically win you every teamfight. And yeah, that sums up my tier list, but I want to do some honorable mentions and short summaries. So again, Evelyn's pretty strong right now. She's got her stealth, forces the enemy to buy pink wards, and basically causes high pressure early game. But she kinda does fall off late game, and there could be better team fighters mid game. And of course Lee Sin's still pretty good. I preferably don't like him, but I mean he's really good at dominating early game. He can outduel most champions, but his mid game and late game just kinda suck. And if you're pretty good at Lee Sin, then of course he's a pretty good champ. And last but not least, Fiddlesticks. So Fiddlesticks is actually really annoying to play against, because when playing against him you always have to think about where he's at, when is he gonna pop up, when he's gonna ult, and like even if you try sieging against him, he'll just pop up and kill your whole team. And if you ever want to initiate a fight, he'll just pop out again and kill your whole team because he's a pretty good counter initiator. And yes, this is like ban worthy to play against because people who main Fiddle are really annoying to deal with. And he's also one of those champs who win team fights. Hey, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Comment below for a discussion. Like this video if you support what I'm doing, and check out my other tier list for this patch. As again, my opinions have changed, and of course some champions have become flavor of the month. And again, I'll see you guys next time.